Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Saul van Genen, aka Mr. VG. Thank you very much for that. And please, it's not Mr. VG. That's only if I've had too long a vacation. But ladies and gentlemen, I love that you introduced me as a mathematician. I don't always see myself as a mathematician. I more see myself as someone who loves maths, but more to love you guys to do maths. Okay? Because in the end, what I would love to see more is not myself attaining the heights in the world, but teaching people or training people to actually get to those heights. Because I'm going to say this, and you guys will see the heading for this is mathematical reasoning. Okay? Now, it actually has got very little to do with maths. Okay? But it's called mathematical reasoning because you use the reasoning in maths. Now, how to develop reasoning skills? Okay, so let me start off by posing this question. Why on earth there we go. Why on earth, so do we actually need this? What I'm going to teach you today. What do you say? Well done, to reason mathematically. But why do you need it? Yes, sir.
To understand the precise.
Okay, to understand the precise. And then all the ladies go, ooh. That's the kind of guy I like. He can use big words. One day, sir, a few years ago, I had a student. He had what we call the gift of the gab. He knows how to talk. And the moment he starts using big words, I know he didn't have a cooking clue what he was saying because he would start throwing out big words. I'm not saying that's you. Not you. Ladies and gentlemen, the thing is, why on earth did I choose, and I'm going to just flex a little bit. Why did I choose to become a math teacher instead of what I studied? Actuarial sciences. Let me just flex a little bit. Okay? I actually did finish the degree. I didn't just start and then went, it's too difficult. No, I actually finished my BSc at Tux in Axide. Okay? And my dad was of course pissed off at me. Excuse my French, you've got to delete that when we do the editing. Okay, my dad was pissed off at me because I chose to become a teacher. But you could be earning millions a year. Why become a teacher? I see that's your question, right? So, and this is the reason why today is so important, is because, and I'm not saying this to glorify myself in any way, I'm just saying to you guys why I'm doing what I'm doing, is there is a lot of problems in South Africa if you didn't know it. Some of you know it better than others. And some of you have no cooking clue what I'm talking about except for load shedding. Okay? But some of you sitting here today, I'm saying this because I've got a lot of respect for some of you, not more than for others. But some of you sitting here don't know that the person next to you might only get one meal a day. And that's usually the meal they get at school. If it's holiday time, that meal is even gone. The thing is, ladies and gents, the reality is South Africa, the world, Africa, you can go as big as you want to, is facing a lot of issues. And I want to help youngsters like you guys to actually up your game to be able to fix those problems. Because I can't go into your communities and try to fix it. Because number one, I'm white. Number two, I did not grow up in what you grow up with, so I don't understand it. I can look on the outside and go, "Ish, it's difficult, it's tough." But I'll never understand it because I didn't grow up there. I don't understand what it means to have only one meal a day. I don't understand what it means because I didn't grow up there. And in South Africa, that's 40 million plus people that needs to be helped. But I'm going to say something that the sir yesterday evening from Mr. Setuhane said. You guys sitting in front of me here are the bright stars that needs to change this, or it's going to continue with your kids and your grandkids and their kids if you guys don't step in. That's the reality. So why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do we need mathematical reasoning? Because there's another term for it called problem solving. The more, hopefully by the end of the day you'll be clapping for yourself because you'll be able to solve those problems. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I come here today because I love teaching. I love it. It is what I do. When I wake up in the morning, my wife knows my mind is already on my work because I love my job. And I want to work with you guys today on, first of all, asking you, how do you develop reasoning skills? Because most of you sitting in front of me are in public schools. Maybe a handful of you are in private schooling or in really good public schools where the teachers actually teach you problem solving. Now please, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen in all public schools. But so I know the reality is you sit in class and you must not ask your teacher why. If you're nodding your head there going, But why do we teach us? No, it's because it's in the exam. Why must I learn this? Because you're going to need it one day. For what? No, just do it. Yes. Am I right? Yeah, preach it, brother. The problem is, so when you get to varsity and you try that with your professors, they're going to laugh at you. My professors, when I studied actuarial sciences, if you couldn't tell him why you can use a formula, you're not allowed to use that formula. That's a different life. So today I want to teach you, how do I develop reasoning skills? How do I develop problem-solving skills? Not just for your schooling, for when you're done and you are living your life and you are fixing some of the problems you're going to face. Well, let me say this. Have any of you seen a house being built? If you come from the Kasi, that happens daily. It's always someone new coming into the Kasi. Which one do you guys like to live in? The one on the left or the one on the right? Who says the one on the left? Put up your hand. Left meaning that one. Whom of you say the one on the right? Okay, gents, if the lady next to you is the one saying the one on the right, and you like her, ooh, you're going to have to admit, man. It's funny, but the older I am, the more I want the one on the left. Because I don't want all the maintenance that comes with that one. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, if this is the house you are building, most of you, your houses unfortunately look like this. Wah, wah, wah. And unfortunately, that is a lot because of the way that you guys are taught. Now, you can sit here in front of me and say, sir, you touched me deep today. You cut me deep. Because I've been teaching for close to 16, 17 years. And I've been in the teaching circles for about 20 years, end of this year. And I can say it very clearly, that even getting to first and second year varsity level, the houses that you guys are trying to build when you solve problems kind of look like this. Because it's one of my favorite things when a student comes to me and say to me, sir, you're wrong. And then I always love to ask my favorite question in the world. Marawai. Marawai. And my students know the Marawai. When I start with Marawai, they start running away. Because then it becomes very, very, very clear that the foundation of their houses are not very strong. Like if I ask you, what is the definition of a circle? Okay, so her answer is, and you guys can laugh because if I look at you, you're going to answer. She actually gave an okay answer here, okay. Number one, it's a 2D shape, which I really like. Oh, now you're going into dark territory there. Okay, a 2D shape that has a circumference and radius. What else did you say? Doesn't have an ending or a beginning. It's just there. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing you touched on which I really like, is the word you used, which is radius. Now, I'm using it as an example because the funny thing is I asked that question to some of our teachers and even they couldn't give me a proper answer. But yet, sir, for you to solve grade 11 and 12 maths, you can't do it without the definition of a circle. And yet, you are trying to build a mansion on the foundation that cannot support a shack. EU. So now the question is, how do I fix it? Doesn't help me standing here in the front and showing you guys how much you suck. Okay, I'm just joking, you guys don't suck, okay? Your mathematical reasoning is maybe not that good, but you don't suck, you're awesome. But you must fix it. So now the question is, how do I build a house? Where do I start if I want to build a house? Yes. Okay, construct a foundation. Now here comes a thing, something I want to share this with you guys. And this is important. If you get this, you're going to be fine for the rest of your life. The bigger the house you want to build, the deeper the foundation you need to build. the bigger the impact you want to make in this world, the deeper your foundation is going to have to be. Because the deeper your foundation is, the less chance that someone will come against and just blow it over. I cannot tell you how often people have looked at me and said, "Are you crazy?" Because the dream for my life is, I want to change the face of maths education in South Africa. You! A white Afrikaner in South Africa. Thank you for the applause, but it's a bloody scary thing to think about, because the problems are big. But if I was scared every time someone came up to me and said, "You're flipping crazy," I would have quit a long time ago. But my foundation is strong. Now, what do I base my foundation on? And this is important, take notes. The first thing that you build your foundation on, that goes into the foundation of your house, is definitions and axioms. Our junior talks here at the back, guys, listen, for research projects, if you want to do research in your postgrad, this is the start of any postgrad certificate or degree. Get your definitions right. What the hell is a definition? What's the definition of a definition? You? Great inception here. What are you saying? Come on, you said something. Don't be scared of being wrong. Take a chance. Take a chance, huh? Yes, what do you say? Okay, and you there? An explanation, I hear. Let me ask you this very deep question. If I can take a photo of you, that's an explanation of you, right? Does that define who you are? Oh, so that kind of, we're in trouble here. We've got to kind of be careful. Yes, sir? Okay, same problem we've got there. If I describe you, does that define who you are? No. Yes, sir. Okay, you are going in the right direction. We're like dancing around the fire here. Someone from this area, you guys like very quiet. And you're going to laugh when you hear how simple it actually is. Let's try. Yes, sir? You're going closer to it. It's what makes something what it is. But now the thing is, and this is where I'm going to do some LO. I told you guys it's not about maths, it's about life. Let me ask you this question. What defines you? Oh. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is a question you need to start asking yourself. You say your character, and I'm going to say, what is it? What is your character? Now, please don't answer me, because this is something to sleep on. And I'm going to give you guys one of those drop the mic moment, but I won't drop the mic simply because it's an expensive mic. If you are not going to be 100% sure of your definition before you leave school, other people are going to define you. Let that sink in. If you are not going to define yourself, other people are going to define you. And can I tell you what's a scary thing? After they've defined you, they're already out the window and you're sitting with a product. I see that every day of my life. Yesterday evening, Mr. Setlogani was talking about how as Africans we're putting each other down. Why? For one reason. If I can't have success, no one else will. I don't want to grant it to anybody else. It's sad, but it's true. So I want you to think about these things. I want you to go home later on, tomorrow, the day after that, and start thinking, what makes me who I am? What defines me? And the thing is, gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you first of all. Be careful of your job defining who you are. Because there's no guarantee you're still going to have a job in 6 months or a year. Then what is left? I've seen a lot of those guys. Who of you grew up in the car seat? In the car seat. Don't know what the car seat is? Then you didn't grow up there. The townships. Okay. If you go to the townships, you see those guys, the fresh engineers. They go out, they become the engineer. They come back with a BMW 6 Series and they drive down the street. And they're walking with their shoes. And when you greet them, they just look at you and they move on, right? But I can guarantee you, he loses his job. He's the first guy in the shipping. He's the first guy who's coming, can you help? Now all of a sudden he knows you again. Because it's easy to define who I am by what I've got or what job I do. Ladies, now I'm going to hit hard. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Be careful of finding your definition of what society expects of you. I've got to be a mom. It's a good thing to be a mom, but not all ladies are going to be moms. Physically, my wife can't have kids. I've got a beautiful African princess. She's now 10 years old that we adopted about 7 years ago. My wife is a mom, but physically she can't. How many people have looked at her and gone, is there something wrong with you? Ladies, be careful of finding your definition in what society expects of you. You have to be just the same as the men. No, you don't. You've got a specific role, just like men. It's not that we are unequal. Okay, is it a bit too loud? Okay, I'll try my best. Is that better, sir? Okay. Sorry, I'm used to a mic being like this. I'll move it a bit away. No worries. Ladies, let me get back to that. Do not try and be the same as me. I'm not saying you are not equal, but don't try and be like a man. Be yourself. You can be firm and yet loving. You don't have to be like a man to survive in this world. You've got to find who you are in who you are, not in being like a man. It's ridiculous. We've lost motherhood. The beauty of motherhood has been lost because I've got to be hard, I've got to be tough, I've got to be like a man. No, you don't. Be yourself. It's not easy. And gentlemen, step up. Be the man that you're supposed to be. I'm telling you now, more than the most problems we're sitting with in schools at the moment, and some of you are sitting with the same issues, is because there aren't strong men in our houses anymore. So, saying, I feel like I've got to say this to you. Step up. We need strong men. Our next generation needs strong men. But it can only be found in when you are fine with who you are. Okay. Woo. Going deep there. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Let's go on, ladies and gents. I want to quickly talk about axioms. This word axioms. Now, an axiom is not a skin condition, ladies and gentlemen. But it's something that's going to cause a lot of problems for you guys in your future. Now you're like, so just tell us what the hell is an axiom. An axiom is something you assume without it being proven to be true. Is stealing right or wrong? Why? But what if I need it more than you? But what if you've got 3 phones and I just want one of them? Why? So I'm needing more than you. You've already got 3. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an axiom. Imagine you grew up in a household where was to steal was to survive. Would you still see stealing as wrong? That's an axiom. As you grow up, ladies and gentlemen, you are more and more going to be faced with axioms you didn't even know about. I didn't even know I was a racist. Until one day I met a lady that my brother-in-law is married to, a black Zimbabwean lady, who is on such a high social circuit that I can never reach. And I realized, I always thought that blacks are a step below me because of the way I grew up. Because I grew up in apartheid. And I came face to face with my own axioms and I realized, oh my, for me to make a success of my life, I need to change what I believe. So you have a lot of axioms in your life that you don't even realize that it actually shapes who you are. In maths, axioms are things like the interior angles of a triangle add up to? Have you ever proven it? No. You've investigated it. And then you got to 183 and your teacher went, the right answer is 180. But you've never proven it. You've investigated it and you've seen it is true. But have you proven it? No, not really. Those are axioms. Let's quickly go on. My apologies, I'm getting stuck on the L here. Then, ladies and gentlemen, the part that we all see. Statements and theorems. That is very much geometry, right? Oh, we love geometry, right? Some of you are going, yes, no. When you come back for the summer school, I'm going to be, if all goes according to God's plan, I'm going to be coming back in October. And I hope to see every one of you here. Because I'm going to do 4 or 5 days of maths training. And one of the big things is we're going to talk about statement and theorems. Okay, now how does this relate to real life? What is the difference between an axiom or a definition and a statement or a theorem? Yes, sir. That can be. Okay, so now here's the thing. In your culture, meaning your age group, a lot of statements are being made. And the moment that someone comes against you, you are racist. No, I just disagree with you. You will realize very quickly that a lot of people on social media are making statements, and please don't dare go against them, because then you are sexist, you are racist. If you want to be taken seriously, ladies and gentlemen, don't make a statement without proof, because you're going to look like an idiot afterwards. Conjectures, you make it every day. You just don't realize it. It's called statistics and data handling. Do you know you do it every day, sir? You say yes. There's a few of you that say no. Is there anybody that has a long ruler that I could use? Oh wait, I might have something in my toolbox. Haha. Inception. Let me take out another toolbox. No, I'm joking. Okay. No, I don't have it. Okay. I don't have something here. Okay. Anybody has a nice ruler for me? A nice ruler, a long ruler that I could use. This is about as close as I'm going to get. Imagine this is a nice lacquer long stick, because I don't have a lacquer long stick here. And you walk in at home, and your mom is sitting in the lounge, and all she's doing, we need to have a talk. Oh Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I will not do it again. I will not cheat on that test, I promise. You cheated on a test? What test are you cheating on, huh? I was just that you got 60% for that test. That was not good enough. But what cheating are you talking about? You've all just conjecture. Conjecture is gathering data, and based on history, you make predictions. For those of you that's doing, those guys there at the back that's closely postgrad, that's masters and doctorates for you. The better you are with conjecturing, the more success you are going to have when you do your doctorate and master's degree. Because if you are not going to be good at it, the professor's just going to go back to the drawing board. What about this? What about this? What about this? Properties and methods was what you guys were talking about earlier. Describing something. That is a property. It's not a definition. You've got to be careful, ladies and gents. Now, why do we do all of this? We do all of this because we want to problem solve. We want to reason out. That's what we want to do. Or not necessarily want to do, but don't have a choice in that. So, that's why I love geometry. Because geometry is the only part in school maths where we teach you to walk basically this whole road to get there. If you want to be successful, whom of you want to do business? Love business, entrepreneurship, want to run a business? Is there any of you in here? Okay, those of you that are in here that want to do this, you need to be able to analyze a problem and people in this way. Because if you are just going to look at what is visible, the problems are never going to be solved.
If you want to do business, you need to be able to drill down into why does things happen. What you're seeing at the top is only the what's happening, how is it happening, when is it happening, who is involved. And if you want to make a success one day, you are going to have to change why things are happening. Why? 30 years, ladies and gents, after South Africa got freed from apartheid, is there more poverty now than it was back then? There's more people in poverty now than back then. Why? Because now people are just poor in a house with electricity. But the people are still poor. People are still going into debt. People are still. Why is that? No, not corruption. Nelson Mandela said something. If you want to change, if you want to get rid of poverty, you've got to do it through education. Because only through education do we get to the why. Because then people are confronted with things they do not know. What's happening at the moment is we are throwing money at poor people and go, don't be poor. Stop being poor, I'm giving you everything. But you're not changing how they're thinking. Stop being poor. Okay, thank you for the money, I go and buy alcohol. Stop being poor, here's money. Okay, let me go and buy smokes. I've been in houses and worked with people and seen people where there isn't a crumb of bread on the table, but there's a whole cooler box of alcohol. Don't tell me there's no money. Hey, some of you might have grown up in a house like that. I'm asking you, change it. Change the cycle. Break the cycle like Mr. Sepukwani said yesterday. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the maths. I'm getting so excited. So I'm going to ask you a question. What does your maths toolbox look like? Now we're getting to maths. I've got two toolboxes here in the front. They come from my home, that's why they're looking so dirty. Okay, so how does that toolbox look for you? Dirty. What else? A little bit empty, right? Imagine if I give you this toolbox and I ask you to change a plug, or ask you to hit a nail into that wall. Say again. There's only a pencil and there's a little bit of, there's sandpaper in there, there's more sandpaper in here. No, that won't help. There's a little screw in here. You'll be able to hit the nail into the wall. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's the scary thing. That's maybe some of you when I ask you to do some maths for me. What do I mean by that? I ask you about nature of the roots and you kind of go, what the hell is a root? Okay, then some of you go, discriminant. And I go, okay. The second kind of toolbox, which is better than the first one, okay. How does this toolbox look for you? Okay, it's got equipment, I like it, it's quite full. What else do you see here? If I ask you to get a star point screwdriver in there for me. You see now, he's falling into the bus, into the trick here. What is a star point screwdriver? Okay, I love it, thank you. Is it organized? Nah. I can find you a star point, but to find the screwdriver, I have found not a star point screwdriver. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is you guys in maths exams. That is you guys in maths exams. Let me open my toolbox. And now I look at everything, right? And halfway through you kind of give up. Especially when it's tough questions, right? After the first time you try, you give up, right? No! But the question is your toolbox organized? Or is it nice? And this is not a question you need to answer aloud. So if I ask you to find a star screwdriver, in which toolbox do you want to go and look? Which one is your choice? That one on the right, eh? No, me too. Because that one on the right, oh, that's beautiful. And the second question I want to ask you today is, how full is your toolbox? In other words, does it look like this one? Or is it like that? Ooh, nice and full. I would love to have that. But I'm a teacher, don't have that money yet. Yet. Now the question is, and please get this, I'm asking questions, I'm posing questions. The question is, how do I fill up and organize my toolbox? Well, let me first ask, why is it needed to fill your toolbox? What is the end goal of your education? I'm putting you on the spot here. What is the end goal of your education? To get a degree or something? I'm concerned about the or something. Further the studies. Okay? Now can I tell you the scary thing? If you do not do what I'm telling you to do, and I'm not saying you've got to do it, giving you tips, golden nuggets. The University of Stellenbosch has a professor who once went to a conference and said, if students do not fill up their toolbox, going from this to this, and don't organize their toolbox, ladies and gentlemen, 60% of first years fail mathematics. And that's a proven fact. 60% of first year students fail maths. That means they got 70 or 80% for school maths, and then they still fail first year maths. Because their toolbox is either empty or not organized. I promise you, this is how my garage looks at home, and it's the most frustrating thing in the world to try and do anything. So, I'm going to quickly run through this. I would love you guys to make summaries about topics. How does a summary look? This is one technique I use for summaries. I take a topic like quadratic equations, and I start in the middle by the title, because it's important to know what you want to do. What is the definition of a quadratic equation? It is an equation in that form. Please don't try and copy everything down. You can take a photo afterwards. Okay? certain formulas that I could use. Then I could have my discriminant coming into play. If delta is bigger than naught, if delta is equal to naught, if delta is smaller than naught. But then there are special techniques like completing the square. And there's an example of completing the square. There are other methods that you can use. How do I get rid of fractions? How do I get rid of brackets? Then there's also the K method. And that would be one chapter that you can do. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to make summaries. One day I think I must actually do a whole course just on how to do math summaries. But I'm not going to get stuck here because I want you guys to solve problems and you guys are tired of hearing me talk. So I want to ask you, how do I solve problems? I actually want to skip this slide. I want to quickly go to another slide. I'm actually going to skip this and I'm going to say, let me quickly, my apologies. There we go. I'm done talking for now. We're going to solve 3 problems. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Okay, this first one, the sum of the values of x for which 2x plus 1 to the power of 2 over 3 is equal to 9. That's the first question. 5 minutes, go for it. So let's start. I can try and square the bracket out, but the problem is that over 3. So what type of an equation is this? It is an exponential equation. And how do I get rid of an exponential, or how do I solve it if I've got a fraction in the exponent? I raise it to the 3 over 2, right? Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen up. You don't know your theory. Because if you knew your theory, you would know. Because it is an even power denominator, I have to put a plus and minus in front of this. So this means I've got 2x, sorry, this thing is sliding away from me. I've got 2x plus 1, which is plus 9 to the power of 3, or let's say 9 square root is 3, to the power of 3, which is 27, or negative 27. If you don't know this, you don't know your theory. Your toolbox is a bit empty. Ish. Now I need to solve this. That gives me 26 over 2 over 2x is 13. Solving this, 2x is equal to negative 28. X is negative 14. But this is not the question. The question is not determine the values of x, determine the sum of. Okay, let me just quickly go back one, my apologies. The sum of the x values. So I've got to add them, and that answer is negative 1. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to go and study maths. Not just practice it, study it. If I see this, then I do that. If I see this, then I do that. It's going to make your life very simple. and help you to not get only half of the problem. Yeesh. This is going to be fun. Let's step it up a little bit. Okay. Parabolas. Is there any of you that haven't done parabolas this year? No? I think all of you have done it. Okay, my apologies. I just want to quickly try and move this away. So the graph of y equal to x squared minus 8x plus 13. Okay, I'm going to, my apologies. I just want to quickly, can I unplug this? Okay, no one is screaming, so I'll unplug it. And then we go and do that. Here we go. Now all of you can see. If you still can't see, I'll remove the other obstacle in your way. Go for it, ladies and gentlemen. You've got 5 minutes. This method that I'm going to show you is arguably the most important method of today, which is called the monkey behind the mountains. What the hell? The monkey behind the mountains. And it will come up later on, but I want to quickly share this because it's a way of breaking down a problem like this into smaller parts. Okay. I brought my little girl's, one of her cute little teddies to illustrate this. The problem is, so when you guys do problems at home, it looks as cute as this. When you do homework sums, and then you get to exams, and this happens. And then you freak out, and you cry, and you call the newspaper about how unfair life is. And then you realize, actually, you just need to know problem solving. The problem is this little monkey, it's a rabbit, is just hidden away behind the mountains. The answer is hidden behind some obstacles. So what I would love you to think is, what is the monkey? What is the real thing we are trying to solve? The range. But to get range, ladies and gentlemen, I need a minimum and a maximum. And there you've got your mountains. So let's start with the minimum. What is the minimum for this graph? The turning point. Now, I'm starting to identify the one mountain is the y value for the turning point. But for me to get the y value of the turning point, I need the x value of the turning point. Now, someone give me the 3 ways of determining the x value of the turning point. Yes. Okay, I can complete the square. Well done! Another way. Oh, yes, sir? Okay, I was looking for that over 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the midpoint between the x-intercepts. How many of you are in independent schools, IEB schools? Please put up your hands. Do not forget about symmetry. They are going to ask you about symmetry. Okay, and for your final exams, remember symmetry. Exactly in between the x-intercepts. What is the third way? Yes. X equal to negative b over. Okay, so here's my challenge to you. I'm laying down the challenge. Whenever you practice for a maths exam, find at least 2 or 3 ways of solving a problem. Because you don't know what the examiner is going to ask in your next test. You don't know. So the x value of that turning point is at 4. Am I right? Yay! Okay. However you do it, x equal to 4. The y value of the turning point 4 squared is 16 minus 32 is negative 18 plus 13. Am I right that it's negative 5? No, I'm wrong. What is it? Negative? Negative 3. Oh, I'm having a bad day at maths. So sorry about that. Okay. What did I do wrong? 8 times 4 is 32 years. Oh, that's negative 16. My apologies. Now the question is, where do I find the maximum? There. So how do I get that maximum? Substitute this x value in. Negative 1. Is that going to give me 22? And that is your maximum. And there, ladies and gentlemen, you have your range. Lowest, your turning point. Highest, that y value there, by substituting that x into it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the method of the monkey behind the mountains. Grade 11s, please, if there's one thing I can teach you and you take away from today, and you can use it for matric, is before you attempt a sum, plan what you need to do. In grade 11, it's still relatively straightforward. In matric, because in matric, one chapter of work contains 5 or 6 other chapters. And if you do not go in the right path, I don't give you any marks. Listen carefully, grade 11s. If you don't go in the right direction, I don't give you marks, even if it's 100% correct. That is how matric marking works. So you need to start planning a sum out like I did there. My monkey was the range. I knew I had to answer that. Then I went minimum and maximum, 2 mountains. Then I go and I say, how do I determine the minimum? Well, that's the turning point. Then I ask, how do I determine the maximum? I need that point there. Oh, it's not that difficult, so I hope that some of you are listening. Problem 3. There's a reason why this would be the kind of question that is the last question in the exam. Okay, so I've got a question for you, and this now is, okay. So when I look at this sum, I'm just going to quickly put it here in the front. Okay. So when I look at this sum, ladies and gentlemen, it says here, okay, I'm going to do this the easy way. The easy way is by, let's say the radius is 1 and the height is 1. Look, this is not mathematically correct. I'm saying this, I'm using it as an illustration. Let's say the radius is 1 and the height is 1. This radius is 2 and that radius is 2, or the height is 2. Everyone's with me? Why do I do this, sir? Because if I look at the volume, pi times 1 squared times 1, this is just pi. If I look at this volume, it's pi times 2 squared times 2, which is 8 pi. Now, get this, that means that volume is 8 times bigger than this volume. Now you might come and say, but so why is this? Because look at this, I'm squaring the 2, which is 4, and I'm timesing it by 2, which gives me 8. So that means, if this is volume 1, then this is volume 1 times by 8. Everyone is alright there. Okay, if you're not alright, that's alright. Okay, I'll stay behind for a few minutes and we can have a nice conversation. But that means, ladies and gents, that if I had to fill, I'd take enough out of this one. Listen up. To fill this one, I have left 7 of the first. Because I took one of the V1s out of 8 of them, so I'm left with 7 of them. Which means, now, what are we doing? We've got to be careful. This is why this is a tough question. So what would be my plan? My first step would be to get what is the ratio of V1 to V2. That would be my first. My second step would be to get how much volume am I having left. Then what I would need to do, and this is the difficult part, and I'm going to leave you guys to do it yourself. Now you're like, oh, okay, you want me to really solve it? Okay. What am I trying to do? So I've got V1 on this side, and on this side I've got V2, which is now 7 times by V1. That is that 7. I know that V1 is pi times 1 or pi r squared times pi h. Let's now go general for me. But this volume, you've got to be careful, okay, is 2 times that radius. And I don't know what that H2 is. That is the formula for that. So there I've got H2. Remember, I'm trying to compare H1 to H2. So what am I doing? I am going to compare these two with each other. V2 is 7 times by V1. R squared times by H1 is 4, because 2 squared, pi R1 times by H2. The pi's can cancel out. The R1 squares can cancel out. So I'm left with 7 times by H1 is going to be 4 times by H2. And there I've got my ratio 7 to 4. 7 times by H1 must be 4 times by H2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, okay, for those of you that still don't get it, I forgive you. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to finish off. And those of you that still don't get it, afterwards you can stay for 5 minutes and we'll have a cup of coffee. Now we can just talk. Okay. There are 3 different types of problem solving, and you guys all did it now without knowing about it. The first one is a favorite for you guys. You guys know that guy, the Naruto runner? If you don't know the Naruto runner, there's a gap in your education. Now don't worry, I only know this because I'm a geek. Okay? Most of you try to solve problems this way. Meaning you just, I see the problem, I run at the problem, and I hope and pray for the best. Aish. The problem is, ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to solve problems like this in real life, you can cause a lot of harm. More harm usually than good. Gentlemen, don't try and solve a lady's problem like this. Why do I say that? Because ladies, and you can tell me whether this is true. I know it's true. I've been married for 12 years. I've done this a lot of times, and I've been yelled at a lot of times. Ladies solve problems, gentlemen, learn this by talking. She comes to you. Oh, that's such a bad day. This person did this to me. And they did this to me. And you just sit there and you're like, who can I go and hit? And you should continue to go, you're not listening to what I'm saying. And you're like, yes, I'm trying to solve the problem. And then she looks at you and goes, thank you, baby. And then she walks away and you're like, I didn't solve any problem. Okay, it's a pleasure. Because ladies, gentlemen, you can listen, solve problems by talking about it. And most of the time, by the time that they're done talking, in their mind the problem is solved. Us as gents, you want to do something about it. And you ladies, come baby, talk to me. And you just want to hit something, you want to kick a ball, you want to go and shoot some hoops. And then the ladies are like, but don't you want to talk to me? You don't love me, you don't want to talk to me. Ladies, he loves you. But he solves problems by doing things, not talking about it. When he's done with the soccer game or the basketball, he will come and sit with you and have a conversation. But by then his problem is already solved in his mind because he's already done something. Am I right, gents? How good does it feel to just get out there and have some fun? And then later on the lady's still wanting to talk and you're like, oh no, I'm already. And she's like, and the guy's like, hey. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a good problem-solving technique in 2 ways. The first one was the first problem we solved. That one with the x, determine the sum of. That is a gung-ho type question. I just go for it, man. Did you have to think deep about it? No. So gung-ho works if you know what to do. All gung-ho works in real life if there's an emergency. If my 10-year-old girl, and this really happened when she was like 3 years old, just got her, just adopted her. I just get home. And she comes running to me, crying, bawling her eyes out. My head is sore, my head is sore. So am I going to now look at her and go, why is your hand sore? Tell me, you know, explain to me, how does that make you feel? As if I'm going to solve that like that, my little girl is going to look at me as if I'm talking French. No, I've got to do something about it. But if you don't have the knowledge, if your toolbox is empty, you are going to cause more harm than good. You rock up at a car accident. The person is there and you just want to get them out of the burning car. You run in, you pull the person out, and they're paralyzed for life. That has happened because the people didn't know what they were doing. Yes, it was an emergency, but you had to first stabilize the neck, the head, pull them out in a certain way. That's why people like policemen, paramedics, there we go, thank you. Nurses, doctors are phenomenal here, but they need to study their butts off to get there. A doctor doesn't just randomly one day pop up and go, yes, I know how to do everything. No, they study their butt off to get to this place where they can apply this correctly. Please be careful of this. You're going to end up a lot of times further away than you were. The second one, I like to call digging. That was the second problem we did. Well, now I'm lying. This was the third problem we did. Where we went into this. Let me quickly show this. I'm going to quickly go back. I'll go forward again. I started digging into the information. This first cylinder is twice the radius. It is twice the height. What am I doing? I'm digging through the information. Gentlemen, if you want to help your ladies, if you want to be a ladies' man, learn to dig. Ask questions. It's not about you solving problems. Ask questions. But tell me, why did this happen? Who did this to you? How does it make you feel? And by the time that she's answered the questions, her problem is gone. Yeah, it works. Sometimes in the end you sit as a man with the problems, but the lady's problem is at least solved. So digging, ladies and gentlemen, is a very, very valuable tool when you do problem solving. In real life, one of our biggest issues is that people don't dig enough. People are poor. Let's use that example again. Give them houses. Okay, but they're still poor. Give them electricity. But they're still poor. Give them water. But they're still poor. Now they're just poor in a nice house. You haven't changed them. They're going to continue making bad financial decisions because you haven't changed who they are. But our problem is we hide behind the excuse of there's not enough time. Take some time, ladies and gents, to dig proper. When you do geometry, please come to the summer school in October. I'm going to teach you how to solve geometry in such a way that if you apply what I say just by digging correctly, you can solve 70 to 80% of your geometry without looking at the question. Just looking through the information. Guaranteed. I've seen it every year. Okay, I'm going to start finishing off. Good. Then, the monkey behind the mountain. Now, the monkey behind the mountain, I love simply because I invented it. But, ladies and gentlemen, look at the difference between them. That one, you just run at it. This one, you are focused on the information that's given to you. While this one is looking at the solution. Which one is best? Depending on the scenario. Most of the time in maths and physics, we start here, then we move over to here. And the better you're going to be at it, the more successful you're going to be in solving problems. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to finish this off. So let me quickly just put on that slide there. Okay. I want to finish today off by saying the following. And I want to talk real. In this world out there isn't a single textbook that's going to be able to show you how to solve the problems you are going to face. There's not a single textbook. Because every single one of you are unique. But the world needs what you've got. Remember what Mr. Setlogane said yesterday evening when he talked about dying. I want to put that challenge out there. Do not, or let me rather say this, be careful. If you are not going to learn to solve problems, you might be one day standing by your grave with a lot of regrets. I should have. I could have. But I didn't. You are still at the age where you can prevent that from happening. So do something about it. Fill your toolbox. And it's not just in maths. With people. Learn about people. About different cultures. About different... if you're interested in business, learn about people. Study people. Study business things. Whatever you do, study, study, study. To make sure that your toolbox is not empty. So you can change the world. Grade 11s, there's so much potential here in front of you. Do something about it. Ladies and gents, my name is Sarah van Grinnen, aka Mr. VG. Thank you guys for being an amazing audience.